Hi, everybody. My name is Philip, and I'm bringing you a word that I really have done some research on, and I feel that the Lord is just wanting me to put it out there that some people might think of this verse a certain way, but I want to try and expand their minds on what it could also possibly mean. So we'll be reading out of Matthew 14:25 to 31, where it says, "Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, 'It is a ghost.' And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, 'Be of good cheer. It is I. Do not be afraid.' And Peter answered him and said, 'Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.' So he said, 'Come.' And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried out, saying, 'Lord, save me.' And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?'" Now, there's a couple things I just wanted to quickly break down before I make my main point here. So when they said it is a ghost, back in those days, they did believe in spirits. And so, with their human mindset not having Jesus with them in that moment, they didn't really think of a man walking on water because they didn't think that was possible. So, in their human nature, thinking walking on water wasn't possible, and them thinking that spirits, believing in spirits, it just made it think they just made it think it was a spirit, not Jesus. So that's one thing I just wanted to help clarify about that part. And then the next part I just wanted to touch on is boisterous. In case nobody knows what it means, it just means like wild or crazy. So the winds were crazy. It was wild. He was in a storm when he got out of the boat. So that's why he got like distracted. But the main focus I wanted to make is in verse 31, where it says, "And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?'" I also wanted to take a little twist on this and say, what if there's a possibility that some of us focus on the wrong point, where yes, Peter did lose focus on Jesus and he started to sink, but what if also the point of that story is also trying to say, even when we do lose faith, when we doubt, Jesus will always be there to pull us back up. Now that to me is a point that we really need to focus on, need to pray about, because I know a lot of times when we fall down, when we are in pain, when we feel distant from God, we have a tendency to think God's not with us. We are alone. And for this story, it just for me, it really helped me realize that even when I am down in the dumps, I can remember that even when Peter, very, very faithful disciple, when he even looked away and he lost faith when he was walking on water, Jesus still stretched out his hand and saved him. Even when Peter ended up eventually denying him 3 times, Jesus still came to him and saved him. So just through even one disciple, we can see that when we fall, when we lose faith, or when we doubt, Jesus will be there to pick us back up. And I just wanted to just try and open that idea up in your mind in this story, yeah, it might not be the main point, that people can take separate ideas from this story, but I hope that you also might take this point into consideration when you read this story, because I think it's a very valid point that through them starting with their human fleshly idea of it's not possible to walk on water, thinking it's a spirit, then Jesus telling Peter to walk on water, but then Peter gets distracted because Jesus says come, and so he has that faith to step out onto the water, but then he loses focus because of the storm around him and he falls down, but Jesus comes and just pulls him up. So that is my main point of this whole thing. I really hope you'll take this into consideration, and I really hope this helped you a bit. I really hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless.